Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. I'm your host, Amy Beltran, CEO and founder of Irresistible University. I'm here to help you learn how to love yourself, how to drop the body image issues so that you can lose the emotional weight and gain the confidence to look and feel irresistible at any size. Welcome back to the Irresistible You podcast. In this week's episode, we are going to revisit your New Year goals. We're going to discuss how you are wasting time with food and allowing food to basically own your future. Okay, so the reason why I want to talk about this is here we are. It's the last 2 weeks of January. So the first month of the year, the first month of the decade is almost over. It's almost over. And I want to revisit specifically your weight loss goals because if you're listening to this podcast, I know you set weight loss goals. I know that weight loss is something that you want to achieve. And what I see most often, and I can also speak on this from plenty of experience, is that what often happens is that you start out the year feeling motivated, feeling excited, and you have this new car smell around whatever diet it is that you are doing, the diet that essentially you're chasing after. This is what actually happens. Midway through the month, right about now, maybe a little bit sooner, maybe a little bit later, but somewhere around the middle towards the end of the month, real life slaps you in the face. And you're tired, you're stressed out, and because of that, you don't feel like doing the work around the diet that you chose. Why is that? It's because it's really hard work. And it's hard because what you're actually trying to do is to reverse a lifetime of beliefs you have about yourself. But instead of digging in and really doing that, you're deflecting all of that with some bullshit Instagram detox tea or some bullshit keto diet or some bullshit paleo Whole30 challenge, okay? And the diet itself is unrealistic. It has utter bullshit expectations that, let's face it, no human being is ever going to be able to sustain those expectations over the course of their life. Because feeling tired, feeling stressed out, feeling frustrated because life, that's normal stuff. But when you are doing something that is absolutely unrealistic and real life is like, hey, I'm over here, remember me? You can't sustain that in the long term. And so what happens is that you use the diet, the detox tea, the paleo, the Whole30, whatever thing it is that you're doing at the moment, you use that diet as the excuse as to why you're not losing the weight. Why, in your words, I always fall off the wagon. I can't ever seem to stick to anything. I always fall off the wagon and here I go again. I guess I just can't do this. Something's wrong with me. But here's the deal. It's not about the diet, and it never has been about the diet. It's not about you not being able to follow the diet because it's unrealistic. Right? Because that's just the thing. The diet is unrealistic. It's always been unrealistic. And it's not about the diet, and it never has been, but that's the excuse that you use. Because it's easy to just say, well, this doesn't work. Right? It's also not about, well, I don't have time to go to the gym because I have all these things going on. It's not about that because there's always time for something that you want to do. It's not about your excuse, well, if my husband or my wife or my spouse or my kids or my friends or my family would do this with me, then I wouldn't fall off the wagon. It's not about any of that stuff. All of those things that I just said are all deflections and excuses. The bottom line is this: the reason things aren't working, the reason why you're not losing the weight, it's because of the relationship or the lack of a relationship that you have with yourself. Ultimately, it comes down to this: you are choosing to put food, the rituals that you have with food, rather, as a priority over your life, over the life that you want for yourself. So on the podcast, we talk all the time about creating the life that you crave and the life that you deserve. That life that you crave, you're using the food cravings and making those a priority over the life that you actually crave and the life that deep down you know that you really deserve. You're choosing food and the rituals around food and the beliefs around food over your future. It's about you wasting time with food. It's about you allowing food to own you, to own your future. That's what it's about. And so that's what we have to change. We have to change this prioritizing our life around food instead of prioritizing us and our relationship that we need to have with ourselves. Because until you have that relationship with yourself, you will always believe that food is more important. You will always believe that you just can't lose the weight because of the deflections that you have, like the diets and the bullshit teas and all this other stuff that's out there. Because I know, whether you know this yet or not, which you probably don't, maybe on some level you do, it ultimately comes down to you knowing it's not just about the food. The food is just a distraction. The food is simply a distraction from dealing with real life, from dealing with feeling tired, stressed, frustrated, pissed off, angry, of all those things that are real life emotions that aren't going to go away because you're on a diet, that aren't going to go away because you weigh a certain size, that aren't going to go away because you are so special and you are on a weight loss journey. Accepting that stress, anger, frustration, being tired, being exhausted, all of those things are just part of life. And if you don't learn how to navigate life with those feelings, the rest of your life is going to be extremely difficult. And so it's not about the food. It's about you not wanting to deal with the really hard stuff. And the more that you don't deal with the really hard stuff, the negative stuff, the life stuff, the more time you're wasting. And so you are literally wasting your life away over food. Because you would rather have that quick fix than to sit in the emotions, deal with them, and move on. And so the problem is that the food turns into emotional eating. I don't want to deal with the bullshit that's going on. I'm so tired. I'm so frustrated. I just want to sit here and eat something. And that emotional eating over time, day after day, week over week, year after year, whatever, that emotional eating, we all know what happens. It turns into actual weight gain. And so that emotional weight that you don't want to deal with turns into emotional eating. The emotional eating then manifests itself into physical weight on your body. The weight gain that comes onto your body, that comes into your body as fat, rolls, fat, being in a bigger size, okay? That weight turns into you not liking what you see in the mirror. And when you don't like what you see in the mirror and you don't feel confident about what you see in the mirror, that turns into this hate and shame of yourself. And that guilt, shame, and hate turns into, I think of it this way, it's like it basically becomes like an infection that spills into every single pore of your life. And your life becomes infected with this body hate that you have for yourself. And you manifest that body hate into all the different areas of your life because now you don't have to fully show up and be seen because you can just blame everything on the weight. Well, when I get the weight off, then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. When I get the weight off, then I know I can really like work on this other stuff. When I get the weight off, then I'll work on loving myself. And you get so obsessive and focused on the weight and how the weight is ruining your life, how your knees hurt, your ankles hurt, you're out of breath, you can't do things because you're actually physically restricted when you start to gain weight at a certain level, it affects your quality of life. And so now your mind and your brain is so obsessed around the weight and how it's ruining your life. You're physically unable to do certain things. And guess what happens? You stop living. You're alive, because if you're listening, you're breathing, you're here, you're alive, but you're not living. And there's a big difference between being alive and existing and actually living. And right now, you're not living. I think of it like the world around you, the world that you live in, used to, maybe it never was, but like the world around you is no longer in color. And it no longer has sound. It's just this black and white TV that like goes in and out of like it goes the picture keeps going in and out, right? So like you're living in this boring black and white, no sound, no color, and you're just existing. And you use all of these excuses as to why everything is so hard for you. Well, I can't do that because my knees hurt. Well, I can't do that because blah blah blah. And you think about how easy, or you in your mind, this is what you think. You think for everyone else, especially people that are thin, it must be so easy for them. They're so lucky. That is like one of my pet peeve statements that I hear from people. Must be nice. You're so lucky. Must be nice. That has nothing to do with anything. Okay? Because when you're in this mindset of playing the victim, it is so easy to stay at surface level angry, thinking that everybody else just has it so easy. Thinking that, not taking into consideration that people had to work hard for where they are. And it's a daily practice of working hard to be where you want to be. And I'm not just talking about weight, I'm talking about life in general. Because underneath all of this, guys, like, it's not about the weight. The weight is a symptom. The weight is a symptom of you not wanting to deal with something because of some belief that you have about yourself, the lack of a relationship that you have with yourself. And using all these excuses, I'm going to just tell you straight up, like, it's an easy cop-out. Because instead of being truthful to yourself and admitting the truth, you use the excuses. Instead of being truthful and saying, like, you know what? I'm not where I want to be in life because I'm really scared. I'm really scared of what it's going to take to get me to that level because I've never seen that modeled in my family before. I'm really scared to get that promotion because what if I can't measure up? I'm really scared to try and someone laughs at my version of trying and tells me that's not good enough. Instead of saying things like, you know what, kids? I'm not too busy for you. I just don't want to go to the pool with you because I don't like how I look in a bathing suit. And so you use all of these other excuses instead of admitting the truth about what's actually going on, while you're actually saying no. Because every time you use your weight and your eating and your food and the yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle, as long as you're using that as an excuse, every time you do that, you're saying no to something else. You're saying yes to the food and staying on the cycle, and you're saying no to life. You're saying no to your kids. You're saying no to your husband, your wife, your spouse. You're saying no to your friends. You're saying no to your family. You're saying no to your career. And most importantly, you're saying no to you and your future success of who you know you really want to be. Every single time you say yes to the body hate shame cycle, you're saying no to something else. And that is a horrible, horrible feeling. Because every time you say no to you, to the people you love, to your family, to your kids, to your career, every time you say no, that's one more day, that's one more week, that's one more month, that's one more year, that's maybe one more decade that you literally could just shave right off of your life. Take your entire lifespan and let's just shave off that time. Because guess what, honey? You ain't getting it back. It's not coming back. It's gone. It's gone. Every single time you put off your future, every single time you put off doing something and using your weight and the food as the excuse, you're losing time off of your life. And when you say to yourself, because you're really good at justifying everything it is that you do because you're in denial about so many things. It's part of the process. And every time you're in denial and you justify these things, when your kids ask you to go to the pool and you tell them, no, mommy's really busy. I don't have time right now. Maybe next time. And you know damn well there is no next time. Or when you say, because then in your mind, you're like, okay, we'll go like 2 months from now because I could lose like 10 pounds. We'll go next summer because by next summer, I could be at my goal. And every time you put your like present, what's happening right now in the present into the future, you're taking away the ownership that you have in the problem. Because you're putting that onus and onto the future version of yourself, knowing you're not going to do it anyway. And then not taking the actions that you need to be taking in order to achieve the goal. And by saying, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll start Monday, I'll start next year, blah, 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 you're not taking ownership for what you're doing right here and right now. And then it goes back into the cycle of food, using weight as an excuse. That's more important right now. That's more important right now than telling my kids, I want to go to the pool with you and I want to go have fun at the pool. That's more important to you than going after that promotion, being able to make more money to support yourself and your family because you don't want to be seen. Because when you go for that promotion, you're going to have more responsibilities, and more responsibilities typically means I'm going to have to show up more and I'm going to have to be seen. And by you saying no to that, who else are you saying no to? You're also saying no to your family. You're telling your kids you don't deserve for mom to make more money. You don't deserve for us to be able to do more fun things. So I'll just keep playing small because I'm so afraid to be seen. Thinking it's just about your weight, but it's about so much more. Oh my God, it's about so much more. It's about what's under the weight. And if you don't get anything out of this episode, I want you to hear this. We don't get another chance. We don't get a do-over. We don't get a second life. We don't get whatever today is, the age that you are today, the date that it is today. You don't get this back. You don't get it back. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. That's never the goal. That doesn't mean you should never expect to have a bad day, because you will. But what it means is every single time that you're prioritizing, I'll just shove my face in the food rather than sit here and feel bored, rather than sit here and feel frustrated, rather than give in to the fact that I'm tired and maybe I need to just go to bed. Every single time you give in to the food and the stories that you're telling yourself about why your weight is causing you to not have the life that you want, every time you give in and you say yes to that, you are literally shaving away another minute, another day, another month, another year off of your life, and you are not getting it back. So that is the biggest lesson that I want you to get today out of this episode, is that it's either go time to let's fix this, let's work on this, or let's just stay playing small and wasting your life away, because that's what you're choosing to do. As long as you decide to stay in that place, it's now a choice. It's now a choice. And so I hear this all the time too. It's like, but Amy, I want this more than anything. I want to lose the weight. I want to love myself. I want to live this like amazing life that I dream about. And I know what to do. I'm just not doing it. Let me say something to that. Yes, logically, let's just say for the sake here, when it comes to the actual like process of losing weight, what we have to do. Most people can say, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Because it bottom line boils down to eat less, move more, right? But if you've been listening to me for a while, you also know that phrase, there's a lot more to unpack behind it. Because when you're an emotional eater and you're dealing with the yo-yo diet body hate shame cycle, there's a lot more to it than eat less, move more. And so here's the reality. If you knew what to do, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. If you knew what to do and you just weren't doing it, you wouldn't need to listen to this. You would already be where you want to be. So the bottom line is you don't know what to do. Because going into those diets, like we talked about in the very beginning of the episode, and searching for these bullshit diets and these detox teas and these Whole30s and all this other nonsense, looking for this fix, if you will, in those diets, that's not going to do it for you. And that goes back to, well, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. I have this meal plan and it tells me to eat, this many times a day, and these are this is exactly what I'm supposed to be eating, so I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Because that's not what you need to do. Because you don't know what to do, and that's okay. And when you have this mindset around, I want this more than anything, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it, well, you're self-sabotaging. And there's a reason. And you would rather get this instant gratification from, I had a really long day, I'm really tired, my job is driving me crazy, they're asking so much of me, and I have nothing else left to give. So when I get home from work at night, the last thing that I'm going to do is work on myself. I'm going to sit on the couch and work on this cake. Because you'd rather get that instant gratification from numbing out with the cake than to sit in all of those feelings and thoughts that you're having and process through them. And this is what I call the wet blanket of discomfort. Because, look, oh my God, it feels so comfortable and familiar to you, even though it's wet and uncomfortable. Because that discomfort, even though you're not happy where you are, it somehow becomes this comfortable thing. Because the idea of getting out from under the wet blanket, it's going to be painful for a while. But then you're going to acclimate and adjust, just like you did acclimate and adjust to the wet blanket. When you start to pull one arm out of the wet blanket, and that wet and that dry, or that arm that's under the blanket hits the wet air, oh Lord, it's going to be cold and it's going to be miserable. But it's not going to take as long to get acclimated and comfortable. It's going to take a much shorter period of time than it does to stay in that wet blanket. Does that make sense to you? So there's this part of you that enjoys the wet blanket. It's familiar. You enjoy the process, the quest, the hunt, the process of searching for the next diet, researching the next diet, researching the next fix. It's this almost like a high that you get off of the research that's involved. But then when it's go time, it's show time to get the work done. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. I'm frustrated. This doesn't work. Let me go search for something else. And it just becomes this vicious cycle. And so you build up this fantasy in your head of when I lose the weight, like I'm going to be this amazing person. I'm going to have this amazing career, this amazing house, this amazing like life. And I'm going to look like so like hot and everyone's going to want to look at me and like when the weight comes off, except it never comes true because you keep cycling through this all this bullshit and all these excuses because you really don't want to deal with it. It's just this surface level excuse to blame it on the weight, to blame it on the way you hate your body. To keep doing that actually deflects from doing the real work that's involved to create the kick-ass life that you know you want. And so going for that quick fix that you think, and that's the thing, it's all like it's an illusion because it's not a quick fix. Every time you go for that quote unquote quick fix, you're sacrificing your future. Because that quick fix is just adding time onto the life that you want for yourself. So every time you spin out into that cycle, the emotional eating, the weight gain, the body hate, all the things that go into that, you're distracting yourself and setting yourself back even further from the life that you want. That fantasy version of yourself that you know that you want to be. And so how does it end? Like, how do you get out of this cycle that feels like I'll never stop? Like, I've always been this way. I don't know what to do. I can't get out of this. This is never going to end for me. The cycle will end when you make the decision that you are more important, your family is more important, your life is more important than the life that you have right now with your food. When you decide that you're going to figure it out how to love yourself enough to stop hurting yourself. Because that's all it's doing to you. All this is doing to you is hurting you. And you better believe there's a trickle effect of the other people in your life that it's hurting too. So I know that when you're in the thick of it, you don't go from, I'm so miserable, I just want this to stop, to, oh, I love myself, so I'm going to make it stop. There's this in-between place of, I know somewhere in there I'm worth more than this, and I'm going to have to like build this relationship with myself, and I'm going to have to learn how to love myself again, maybe for the first time ever, because I know I deserve better. So I don't want you to have this, and this is like for another day, but I don't want you to have this misconception that you just go from, I'm so miserable, to, I love myself, I'm going to stop doing it. Because that doesn't happen. We don't jump right into that. That love is going to come through the process of the work that you have to do. But you have to find something in there to anchor you enough to say, enough is enough. I deserve better than this. I am better than this. And it stops today. It stops today. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, not when things slow down. It stops today. And there's a reason why, if you guys ever watch like I think it was on A&E when they would do like the intervention. I love watching intervention. And on intervention, whenever you do an intervention with someone who is an addict, do they tell the addict, we're here today because we love you, because we want you to get help, but you know what? Go ahead and like go binge drink, go finish off all your drugs, and we'll meet you at the recovery place next Monday. Hell no, they don't do that. Because that is so dangerous, because it stops today. It's either today or it doesn't happen. Like, it has to stop today. And so that's the other thing is I want you to really get is like, stop putting your life on hold for this future, like, oh, when things slow down, oh, next Monday. Because if you don't learn how to navigate all the bullshit that life is going to throw at you, I'm telling you right now, you won't break this cycle. You will not break this cycle. It's just like my grandmother used to tell me all the time, you have to take the good with the bad. That's life. And if you're not willing to figure this out with the good and the bad, and the busy, and the stress, and the exhaustion, you're not going to break the cycle. You're just not. And I even see it with people who sign up for my signature program and they enroll and they're excited and they get started. And then 2 or 3 weeks after that, it's like they go ghost. They ghost. Because, and then it's like, oh, well, I'll jump back in when life slows down. It's like, listen, if I know I always say, like, if you just don't get get this too, like, you have to learn how to navigate life, period. And that's the problem with your dieting is you keep going on these diets, and the minute things go south, the minute your life throws a wrench at you, the diet doesn't work. Oh, the program doesn't work, or I don't work, or whatever. It's like, no, that's just life. Deal with it. You just have to learn how to navigate all of it and know that none of this is going to be perfect. And the sooner, I think I even said this last week too, it's like the sooner you can accept that life is not happy and positive and sunshine 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, the easier this journey gets for you when you can let all that bullshit go. And the cycle that we're talking about is going to end when you care enough about yourself to decide, I deserve better. I need to stop ruining my life, my future, my family's life, because I'm choosing food over living. And so when you decide to build a relationship with yourself, instead of being in denial while you're zombie walking around with the food and the excuses like an entitled fat girl, when you decide to stop using busy as this bullshit badge of honor and putting everyone else's needs before your own, that's when it's going to stop. When you decide to prioritize you. And that's what I said. You don't have to love yourself yet, because that's not possible at this point. When you go from, I can't stand this, I'm driving myself crazy, I just need this cycle to stop. It stops when you decide, all right, I'm going to build a relationship with myself and I'm going to work on myself now. And through that work and that relationship that I'm going to build with myself, I'm going to learn how to love myself again. Or again, like I said, for the first time ever. Because when you're walking around in denial, when you're zombie walking through life, just shoving the food down your throat, not being self-aware, not wanting to take ownership for what's going on, putting all of your future plans on hold, waiting for the wait, telling yourself these lies that you're going to start over on Monday, that's entitlement. That's what I call the entitled fat girl mindset. You have this entitlement of, I just want the food because I need it. I'm stressed out. I'm busy. I'm this. I'm that. And that's entitlement. And if you would rather do that, then you need to also be okay with all the bad feelings that come along with it. So what you have to do instead, the way that this stops is you have to decide, I am going to build a relationship with myself, and I'm going to go on this journey with myself. And I'm going to use my time, instead of researching diets, instead of researching macros and all this bullshit stuff that the nutritionist and the fitness pros are telling you to do, you're going to then spend time building and working on the relationship with yourself, because that at the end of the day is the problem. The problem is you don't want to be with you. You don't like hanging out with you. And sitting there by yourself, listening to your thoughts, feeling your feelings, and not sitting there distracting with food, with scrolling through Instagram, with watching some bullshit on Netflix, and literally just sitting there quietly with yourself. You don't want to do that if you don't have this relationship and love for yourself. That's really hard to do. And that's what we have to work on. We have to work on how to build that relationship. Because without it, there is no weight loss. Without it, there is no lasting weight loss. Without it, there is no living. You'll just be surviving. None of those things that you want, that you actually really crave for your life, are possible until you do this. I promise you that. But you've built the fantasy in your head that those things are available if you lose the weight. And so then you go through the research and the quest for the diet to find the thing that's going to help you lose the weight, to lose the weight the fastest, to get to your goal, but it never works because you haven't done this. So you tell yourself that it's because you're broken, it's because you suck, it's because you always fail, it's because X, Y, and Z. And none of those things are actually the truth. The truth of the matter is you've never done this work. And this is the work that's going to get you to your goals for your life, your weight loss goals and your goals for your life. This is how we do it. It's not about how many macros. It's not about how long we work out at the gym. It's about building the relationship you have with yourself. Because when you build that relationship with yourself, that translates into self-love, self-worth, self-confidence. And when you have enough self-love and self-worth, you know that you deserve better, that you are better than sitting on the couch shoving food down your throat to deal with stuff. You know that you deserve to sit there and have a conversation with yourself about how you're actually feeling. And think about this. If your spouse or one of your good friends or your mom or somebody was having a rough time, would you sit there with them, hold their head back, and shove food down their throat as how you're going to, this is how you're going to feel better. Just shove all these M&Ms down your throat. Or would you sit there with them and listen and be there for them and help them process through what it is they're thinking and feeling? So you got to do that for yourself. And that's what you're not doing. And that's the missing piece. And I'm not saying any of this is easy, because it's not. But this is the path. This is the path that you have to carve out. It's not on the diet path. It's not on the diet path. This is the path to weight loss. And the other thing that happens on this path is that you learn how to detach a certain size or number to your future feelings. Because that's the other thing that you're doing is that fantasy we talked about of, oh, when I weigh this, I'm going to be amazing. When I weigh this, I'll have my dream home or whatever. Because it's interesting. It's not about the weight, but it's also not about the weight. But when you build this relationship with yourself and you develop self-love and self-worth, you're not going to be laying your ass on the couch for 4 days in a row on a holiday weekend ordering and eating all the food in sight. Because you don't want to do that anymore. You feel you feel worthy of something better than that. Because that is not treating yourself with respect and love. You see what I'm saying? And so trying to force it through the diet, trying to force it through the bullshit keto diet, oh, I can't do it because I like to eat carbs. It has nothing to do with carbs. It has everything to do with the fact that you don't like yourself. It has everything to do with the fact that you think you are a piece of shit. It has everything to do with the fact that you think you aren't good enough. But it's a hell of a lot easier to just say, oh, well, I can't do keto because I like carbs. That's why I am the way I am. Instead of facing the music and dealing with the real shit. And, this whole thing is a journey. It's a process. So I want to just share a couple of things that I do, the way that I teach this. So you're going to get kind of some sneak peeks into what my students that work with me, this is the type of things that we talk about, and we have protocols and processes that go through all of these. But these are, and I have 5 guiding principles that I teach in my course, in my signature program, in my coaching program that we do. And one of those things is called break the rules. And to build a relationship with yourself, you have to break the rules that you've created. And we all have rules that we've created for ourselves. Rules are basically the thoughts and the beliefs and the feelings that you have about who you are. They control your actions, why you do the things that you do. Those are rules that you've created for yourself. And we all have these rules. And one of those rules could be something like, I'm tired, I deserve to have something sweet. I'm stressed out, I deserve to have a sweet treat. That's a rule. That is not factual. That is not how it has to be, right? So there's all these different rules that we have to change. The rules come from all the stories that we have about ourselves, all the thoughts that we have about ourselves, all the things that we have had people say to us or do to us or not say or not do over the years, okay? And so to build this relationship with yourself, it's now on your terms. You get to decide what the rules are. You get to decide how you're going to rewrite the rules. Not anybody else, not society, not your mom, not your dad, not your friends, not your spouse, you. And so that's the first piece of it, is learning how to rewrite the rules so that you can change those thoughts and beliefs that you have about yourself and your life, because those things lead to the way that you just show up in the world and the actions that you take. If you believe that you're a fat piece of shit that's never going to be able to have anything nice, that doesn't deserve love or happiness, guess what? I bet love and happiness doesn't exist in your life right now. See what I'm saying? And so the second thing that I really focus on is building confidence through taking imperfect action. And that's taking those actions imperfectly on the days where you're tired, you're stressed, you don't want to show up for you. You don't want to go to the pool in your bathing suit when you're 250 pounds, but your kids do. So you're going to do it anyway. You're going to take that imperfect action and you're going to strut your 250-pound ass into the pool, and you're going to play with your kids, and you're going to laugh, and you're going to giggle, and you're going to have fun, and you're going to make memories, and you better take some pictures too. Because as long as you keep telling everybody no, including yourself, I'm not going to get in the pool until I'm 150. Do you know how long it takes to lose 100 pounds? It takes a long time. And if you don't learn how to build this relationship and love yourself on the way down, number one is you're probably never going to get to your goal weight because you're not doing this work that is the most important work. And number two, if you get to your goal weight, you're still left with sitting with yourself and not liking yourself and not wanting to be with yourself. And then what you do is, to distract from that, because now the weight's gone, is you start to rip apart your face, your hair, your thighs, your wrinkles, your loose skin, because that's going to be the next step, right? Or you just start gaining all the weight back because you never learned how to cope with things otherwise. And so it's about building confidence by taking imperfect action. Taking imperfect action is about showing up before you're ready to show up. Because if you wait till you're ready, you're never going to be ready. The way that you build confidence is by showing up anyway. All right, this is where I'm at. I'm 250 pounds. I'm going to put that bathing suit on. I may not love what I see in the mirror, and that's okay. And that's what I mean by accepting that you're not going to love every piece of this. You may not love everything about yourself right now, and that's okay, because the way you get there is to put the bathing suit on at 250 pounds and go make the memories and then be like, I didn't die. This was not so bad. And my kids are so happy. They went to bed with a smile on their face, and that time was translated into memories that last them their lifetime versus the memory of, nope, I'm busy, kids, again. And you see the disappointment and the sadness, and then what happens? They act out like little assholes all throughout the house all day. You know it. I know it. Right? Like they're going to act out in other ways. And then them acting out like little a-holes running around the house, makes you more angry and you more reactive to them. And that's why I tell you, it's like an infection. It's like a viral infection that just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading into every single crevice and pore of your life. And so we really focus on taking imperfect action today, not Monday, not next year, not next month, today. Also, taking imperfect action is about showing up. Going to the pool when you're still 250 is not something most people want to do, but it's about showing up anyway. Because the more you do that, the more you build confidence. The more you build confidence, the more you build self-love. The more self-love for yourself that you have, you're not going to sit around the TV and shove your face in food. And the more active you get, we know what happens. The more you move your body, go back to eat less, move more. Hello. The other thing we focus on is one of the biggest things about building a relationship with yourself, you guys, is about spending time alone. And I call this feeding your soul. Getting outside in nature, that has been a game changer for me. Going and doing hobbies and things that make you happy, not that make your kids happy, not that make other people happy, but this is specifically around you. What fills your cup? Because as long as your soul is starving, you're going to keep using the food. You're going to keep going through the cycle. And when your soul is starving, it's because you're bored, you're unfulfilled, you don't want to spend time alone with yourself. And so this is about continuing to build that relationship with yourself. Okay? I kind of think of it like going on dates with you, right? The next thing I really focus on to build this relationship is being present, being in the moment, being mindful. And so putting that bathing suit on at 250 and getting in the pool is one thing. That's an accomplishment. But it's not enough to go there and then zone out. Because so here's what happens. You're like, fine, I'll do it. I go to the pool. I'm so uncomfortable. You're like taking the cover up off slowly, still putting the towel around the rolls, taking your time, like doing the scan around the pool to see, because you're so special. Everybody must be staring at you because you're overweight, as if you're the only overweight person on the planet. But this is what goes through your head. I get it. And doing the scan around the pool, looking at everybody's reaction. Okay, cool. Nobody's looking. They're distracted. Now I'm going to take everything off. And it's that whole or you go to the pool and you decide, I'm just going to sit here and I'm not going to get in the water and move around and play and splash and have fun and all the things. And so being present and being in the moment is about get your ass in the pool and laugh and splash and giggle and have fun. And we're not worrying about some asshole and what they may or may not be thinking about us. Because who cares? Who cares what they think? Are they going to be the ones living your life for you? Are they going to be the ones looking at you when you have to tell your kids no? No. So they don't matter. They don't matter. And so being in the moment is that. It's going to events, it's going places, it's even about eating mindfully. When you sit down with food and you're not doing 500 things at one time, it's about being in the moment of your life, because we realize we don't get that moment back. So let's enjoy the moment that we have now. The other thing that I really focus on when we're building this relationship with ourselves is to take pride in your appearance and dress for the body you have now, not the one that you wish that you had. And so here's what I mean by that. Let's go back to the bathing suit. When you are not in the weight or the body that you want, and you're, not living life and all the things that we've already talked about, and you're telling your kids no about the pool or the beach, maybe you go to the pool with them, but you just sit in the chair because you don't have a bathing suit, because nothing you have fits, and you are utterly embarrassed to go to the store to go shopping, and you don't dare shop online because you're not even sure what size to buy anymore, okay? So in your mind, you're like, okay, well, next summer I'll wear the bathing suit. So you're going to the pool, but you're not being in the moment because you're not dressing for the body you have now. You're thinking about that future version of yourself. And I tell you, and I said this in the episode, as long as you're putting off what you can do now into the future, you're taking away your accountability to the problem. But the problem is still there. And so this is about, let's dress for the body you have now. Like, yeah, let's say you're 250 pounds. Let's say you're a size 18. Then own the shit out of size 18. Own the shit out of size 20. Own the shit out of whatever size you are today. Because I said it before, if you have 100 pounds to lose, 50 pounds to lose, whatever pounds to lose, you're not going to lose those overnight. You're not going to lose those in a month. So why not be in the moment and be present and wear clothes now that give you some little glimmer of hope, of confidence in yourself? Because when you are wearing clothes that, number one, don't fit, are too baggy, don't make you feel good, do not make you feel feminine, there's no possible way that you feel good about yourself. And again, we know it's not all about the physical, but we want to show up in the world a certain way. And when you're showing up in the world looking a hot mess with big baggy clothes on, or you're showing up at the pool in a sweatshirt, I know some of y'all do that. I remember summer times of wearing jeans and sweaters, and I live in Virginia where it's like 95 to 100 degrees in July. And it's humid. And I was just like telling myself these lies, the denial stuff. So this is about dressing and showing up physically in the body you have today, not the one you want 6 months from now. Because in 6 months from now, then you can look at that. Then you can dress for the size you are then. But this whole, I'm going to wait till I lose weight to buy clothes, that's got to stop. Now listen, if you are on a physical weight loss journey and the weight's coming off, I don't suggest revamping your entire wardrobe. What I do suggest is you go get a few staple pieces that make you feel really good right now. And it's also taking pride in your appearance, doing your makeup, doing your hair, putting the perfume on, doing the nails, whatever that means for you. Whatever that means for you to feel really good while you're on this journey. Because you can't put your head down, wear big, baggy, ugly clothes, and keep your head down at the floor because you feel like crap while you're on the weight loss journey. What confidence building is that doing? What ounce of self-love and self-worth exists in you showing up like that for yourself? And it's all this, like, I despise when people say this to me. Why are you so dressed up? Who are you trying to impress? I'm like, me? I'm trying to impress me. And that's the thing. Stop thinking that you have to do this for a spouse, a husband. You got to do this for, show up. Like you should only dress up for special occasions or you should only do makeup for special occasions. No, the special occasion is you. Hello, like you are the special occasion, okay? You do it for you. Not for anybody else, for you. Because you are a special occasion. I don't care if you're 350 pounds or 120 pounds, you are a special occasion. And putting pride in your appearance, dressing in cute feminine clothes is not reserved for goal weight. Matter of fact, doing these things now is how you get to goal weight. Because you're showing yourself some level of love and self-respect now. And so these are just some of the things that I really focus on with myself, with my students, around how do we build this relationship with ourselves? How do we do it? Because there's different layers to it. There's different, it's a process. It's a journey. And I just want this for you so badly. I want you to stop wasting time, wasting your life on the yo-yo diet, body hate shame cycle, and doing things that are literally sucking the happiness and the energy right out of your life. It's like you just change the channel from color TV HD, LK, 4K, 5K, whatever the hell it is now. It's like you change the color TV in HD to this black and white antenna TV that just keeps going in and out of connection. That's what you're doing. Every single time you're saying yes to the food, you're saying no to your life. Every single time. Every single time you say yes to binging and emotionally eating, you're saying no to your kids. You're saying no to your future. You're saying no to your bank account. You're saying no to your marriage. And you're saying no, again, most importantly, you're saying no to you. I don't want you to have any more excuses as to why this is more important than you are. Because, bottom line, food is not worth you having a mediocre life. Food is not worth you hating yourself. Food is not worth you sacrificing your future self. Food is not worth you sacrificing your future success. So I'm just going to leave on this. I want you to repeat this statement every single time you feel like it would just be easier to eat than to deal with you. I want you to say to yourself, I am in control. I get to choose what goes in my mouth. I deserve better, and I am better. Okay, guys. I hope this episode really hit home for you and you got some good little nuggets, some good takeaways. Let's go over into the free Irresistible You podcast discussion group on Facebook. I have so many people joining right now at the moment. I promise if you have requested to join, that will be approved very soon. We've had so many requests lately that it has been really hard to actually keep up with all of those, but we are getting in there. Those will get approved. And go over into the group and let's talk about this. Let's talk about, what are you struggling with? How are you what are some ways that you are wasting your life with food? How are you wasting your life with hating your body? Let's talk about that and let's have some real discussions around it. Also, if this episode or the Irresistible You podcast has been helpful to you in your life in any way, I would love for you to share that with someone else that needs to hear it. And if you could go over into iTunes and leave a quick rating and review and let me know how you're enjoying the podcast and how it has helped you in your own journey and your own life, that would be so amazing and it would mean so much to me and to all of the other women out here who have not found our community yet. Thank you so much for listening. Head over to irresistibleicing.com/blog and you can get all of the show notes to every episode of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay irresistible.